Russia drives Ukrainian troops out of Bilohorivka. Estonia supplies Kiev with more weapons. Russian military experts said that the country's army has driven Ukrainian defense forces out of the Bilohorivka settlement in Luhansk Oblast. Units of the Russian armed forces have destroyed several defensive clusters of Ukrainian soldiers located inside the Bilohorivka settlement. Our soldiers have entered it and continue to move west, military expert Andrei Maroko told TASS news agency. With Russia taking control of Bilohorivka, the enemy has had to withdraw its troops to the Harihorivka area and strengthen the second line of defense located southwest of Bilohorivka. Maroko added, according to a map updated by Ukraine's deep state website on February 24. The entire Bilohorivka settlement remains inside the grey zone, which is the area where fierce fighting is taking place. Estonia to provide more artillery shells to Kiev. Ukrinform reported that Estonian Prime Minister Kristen Michal recently announced a new military aid package that the country is providing to Ukraine. To strengthen Ukraine's position and increase pressure on Russia, we will send 10,000 artillery shells and 750,000 supplies to Ukrainian soldiers. In addition, we plan to provide Kiev with a number of military products worth €100 million in the near future. Mitchell said, according to statistics posted on the Estonian Foreign Ministry website on February 24. This Baltic country has provided €500 million worth of weapons to the Ukrainian army since February 2022. US B-52 Stratofortress bombers appear near Russian border. After flying over the Estonian capital, the US B-52H Stratofortress strategic bomber flew to the 80 km mark before the Russian border and turned south, according to Military in a video released by the Finnish Air Force. The US Air Force B-52H Stratofortress bomber flew over the capital Tallinn to celebrate Estonia's Independence Day on February 24. The formation flying with the B-52H also included 2 F-A-18 Hornet fighters of the Finnish Air Force, and 4 F-35A fighters of the Netherlands Air Force. After flying over the Estonian capital, the B-52H headed east towards St. Petersburg. When it reached the 80 km mark before the Russian border, the US bomber turned south. On the way back, the B-52H also flew over Latvia and Lithuania, then through Polish airspace. It is known that Dutch fighter jets are participating in 2 NATO operations in the region, patrolling Baltic airspace and protecting maritime infrastructure in the Baltic Sea. The appearance of B-52 flying fortresses in the region is also quite frequent, as US aircraft participate in exercises or perform joint missions. The B-52H Stratofortress is a long-range heavy bomber designed by the US for many different missions. For more than 60 years, the B-52 has become the backbone of the US strategic bomber force. It can deploy many types of weapons such as gravity bombs, cluster bombs, or precision-guided missiles. According to Guardian, US and Ukraine are preparing to sign a mineral agreement. Ukrainian Deputy Prime Minister Olha Stefanishyna confirmed on February 24 that negotiations between the US and Ukraine on the exploitation of Ukrainian resources are in the final stage. According to the Deputy Prime Minister of Ukraine, the negotiations are constructive, in which important details are almost finalized. We are committed to completing this quickly to proceed with the signing. Ms. Stefanishyna emphasized. On the same day, US President Donald Trump said that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky may come to Washington this week or next week, as the two countries are very close to reaching an agreement on rare earth minerals. I'm going to meet with President Zelensky. He could come this week or next week to sign the deal, and that would be great. I'd love to meet him. We'll meet in the Oval Office. So deals are being made right now. They're very close to a final deal. It's going to be a rare earths deal and a lot of other things. I understand he wants to come here to sign it, and that would be great for me, Trump said during an Oval Office meeting with French President Emmanuel Macron. The comments came as the final draft of a US-Ukraine resource deal was presented to the Trump administration and focused on the framework for a Ukraine reconstruction fund. During the Oval Office meeting, US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent added that a mineral deal with Ukraine was very close. We're very close, just one step away, Bessent said. Earlier, Minister Bessent said that according to the draft proposal, Washington wants to transfer revenue from natural resources, infrastructure and other assets controlled by the Ukrainian government into a fund of about $500 billion for the country's long-term recovery and development, in which the US will have economic and administrative rights. According to Mr. Bessent, this will ensure the transparency, accountability and corporate governance necessary to attract private investment. The draft agreement would give the US a portion of Ukraine's mineral resources, considering it as compensation for Washington's aid to Kiev. However, Kiev continues to reject this proposal. President Zelensky said that the actual amount of aid that Washington has provided to Kiev is only about $90 billion, 5 times less than the amount proposed by the US. He said that the proposal is unfair to a country in a state of conflict. Mr. Zelensky and his team are demanding that the United States not only clarify the figures but also provide additional security guarantees in the agreement. Among the main points proposed by the Ukrainian delegation are long-term security and maintaining full control over the country's strategic resources, including natural resources and infrastructure. A Ukrainian official said that the US's failure to provide future security, military and financial guarantees remains a sticking point in the negotiations. Mr. Trump has so far confidently declared that the United States and Ukraine are close to reaching an agreement. On the other hand, he warned that if Ukraine continues to refuse the agreement, it will be in a lot of trouble. According to Telegraph, France is ready to raise its nuclear umbrella to protect Europe. The Telegraph, citing sources familiar with the matter, said France is ready to deploy its nuclear deterrent to protect Europe. Paris nuclear-armed fighter jets could be deployed to Germany as the US threatens to withdraw troops from the continent. Friedrich Merz, who is expected to become German Chancellor after winning the election at the weekend, has called on Britain and France to expand their nuclear deterrent capabilities, as he seeks to create independence in Europe's security from the US under President Donald Trump. A French official told The Telegraph that deploying the fighter jets would send a strong message to Russian President Vladimir Putin, while diplomats in Berlin said the move would also put pressure on British Prime Minister Keir Starmer to do the same. Deploying a few French nuclear-armed fighter jets in Germany would not be difficult and would send a strong message, the source said. French President Emmanuel Macron spoke to Merz on Friday evening before heading to the White House to outline plans for European security and the defense of Ukraine to Trump. The United States has long provided security for Europe with a nuclear arsenal of around 100 missiles, many of which are based at a US military base in Germany. France's nuclear arsenal is independent of NATO, while Britain's plays a key role in the alliance's defense strategy. Merz said last week that Paris and London should discuss whether their nuclear protection can be extended to us, before warning on Friday that the US under Trump was indifferent to the fate of Europe. German diplomatic sources said talks on a European nuclear deterrent had not yet begun. As Merz focused on forming a coalition government, President Macron has pushed for a debate in Europe on the role of French nuclear weapons in defending the continent. A diplomat in Berlin said the French proposal would put more pressure on Britain to demonstrate its commitment to European security. The British Prime Minister has sided with European leaders, rather than Trump, on resolving the war in Ukraine, and wants to sign a security and defense pact with the EU. If France were to deploy a nuclear deterrent in Germany, it would certainly put more pressure on Britain to do the same, the diplomat said. The diplomat said Germany's view was that it needed a nuclear umbrella, wanted a say in it, and was prepared to pay for it. However, the source warned that the request would be difficult to implement unless the US withdrew its nuclear deterrent from Germany. France is believed to possess around 300 nuclear warheads, capable of being launched from both sea and air. Britain's Trident nuclear deterrent consists of 4 Vanguard-class submarines, each capable of carrying up to 16 warheads.